So the new tax legislation is really meant to provide tax cuts. I mean, it's inherent in kind of the name it was given, and that's probably true nowhere more than with business taxes. From a corporate side, we see a rate decrease from a progressive rate schedule that ended at 35% previously, cut all the way down to 21%. So that's a huge decrease. On the non-corporate business side, I think what we see is what's called the qualified business income deduction. And in short, what it provides is a 20% kind of effective rate decrease for those businesses that qualify for it. So at the highest end, the 37% maximum marginal rate that applies to individuals now would be decreased to an effective rate of 29.6%. For those businesses that qualify for the full deduction.
Yeah, and so I guess that's one way you can limit the tax on a business is through the introduction of a new deduction, right? So
exactly.
Instead of actually changing the rate, you just change the amount of taxable income. So another way that's happening is with the changes to depreciation and the enhanced bonus depreciation and expensing, which I think any businesses with significant fixed assets, I think that's going to be a game changer. It's really going to change their upfront tax costs to a lot of these items. But on the other side, there's some potential limitations on deductions. So things like the new potential limitation on business interest, that may really come into play for a lot of highly leveraged businesses. It may impact how they do business. You see other things like meals and entertainment changes, or there's a whole list of them that when you start running through it, it's kind of a positive on one hand, a negative on another, and you have to sort through it to start thinking about it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that the things the qualified business deduction and depreciation, those are some of the things that have been getting all the attention. But you're right, there's a lot of other changes in there that have maybe it's not quite as big of an impact as those items, but still a pretty meaningful impact that really takes some attention to understand how it impacts any single business.
Yeah, and I think of things that take time to think about, entity choice is getting by far the most attention, I guess, in my practice, and the questions I'm getting, it's all about, hey, should I convert to a C corporation now that there's this lower 21% rate? I guess, how have you approached some of those discussions?
That is going to be one of the most interesting areas, because obviously the significant change in rates really changes the lens that you view that decision through. Now, I think in the end, what we often see is that that if you're a C corporation today, there was a reason that you were a C corporation, and if you were a pass-through entity previously, there was a reason you were a pass-through entity. And even though maybe the numerical tax rate difference between the two the gap has closed a bit, there's a lot of other reasons why you picked that structure to begin with, and those reasons still hold true. So for some businesses, the decrease kind of in the closing of the gap of the rates might make sense to actually change business structures, but I think a lot of them, when you factor in all the other things like how you plan to exit the business, how you might transfer it, completely non-tax reasons, it could very well lead to a result to stay in the same structure you are today, but it really takes that detailed analysis to really come to a fully informed, complete conclusion.
And so I guess that's forward thinking. Right now we're at a time period where businesses are going to be filing their 2017 tax returns. As they start to approach that, 2017 still generally a higher tax year versus 2018. So I think a lot of the conversations I've had as well are, what can you do to take advantage of pushing deductions into 2017? There may be a number of accounting methods or different ways that you can actually achieve that goal, where the deduction is going to have a lot more value in 2017 versus 2018 if that business is subject to the lower 21% rate or to the effective lower rate with the qualified business income deduction.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest misconceptions that I've heard is, well, it's already after year end, there's not really much I can do about it at this point, is there? And there is surprisingly a lot of things that you can still do after year end to shift deductions and income between 2007 and 2017 and 2018. And with about a 10% differential, 10 to 15% depending on the business type, that is a huge potential permanent tax savings by executing on some of those planning ideas, and there are a lot of them.